I was in your shoes about a year and a half ago. We transitioned to DragonFly, and I'm looking at exactly what you're looking at a blank screen that says get started, and I'm clueless with it. And so that's where I'm coming at with you. So I'm going to go as slow as I can. If you need to stop me, please stop me. And we have a small enough group where I think we'd have conversation. I've got a general template that I'm going to follow. But again, if there's something that I'm saying that doesn't make any sense, something that you want additional follow-up on, just raise your hand and we'll address it as a group and keep it rolling. Going to be tailored mostly to athletic directors and that side of things. I know we have a few assigners and lead commissioner in here. So if you need to stay after also, a lot of this stuff's going to be applicable to you also. But again, Travis said we can stay here as long or as little as we need to. So if you need extra help or whatnot, I'll be here until the last person leaves, and we'll make sure you guys are squared away. Okay. We'll just dive right into it, folks. The first thing we're going to go into is where do you get started? How many of you have already created your DragonFly account? Perfect. How many have not yet created it? Okay. So the first step is to create the account. And so I'll show you where to do that, and then we'll take a quick second, and we'll just make sure everybody's approved. Our approval process, we vet you before you get approved into your organization. We have a team of people that vet. So when you sign up, you'll get a verification email, and then it'll say waiting for approved. I've got a team of people, and I'll do it on my end also. They're going to be approving you into your school, into your organization. But again, it doesn't happen instantaneously. They're going to do a quick vetting to make sure you are who you say you are, make sure there's a school email, and then we'll approve you into the group. Okay. Big thing we're looking for really is that school email. Okay. So if you're signing up with a Gmail account or anything like that, you'll probably get an email that says, hey, just sign up with your school email so we can vet you and make sure that someone's not getting approved as an admin before if they're not an admin. Sir.
Sorry, I got a question.
Yeah, what you got?
So can multiple people create different accounts? So high school, middle school ADs, do they go under one login, or how's that work?
So you'd want everybody who wants access to DragonFly to have their own account. Okay. Now you're going to all be looking at the same thing, and we'll go over rule sets and roles and all that in a little bit. But you'll have a rule set as the athletic director. You'll have a rule set as an administrator. There's even rule sets up to superintendent, principal, financial directors, CFOs, things like that. So we want to make sure we'll go through that today to make sure everybody's got the correct rule set. So there's not, for instance, if a coach signs up for this, they're not getting the wrong information or the wrong permissions. Now, you guys as the ADs or as the first person into your organization will have the ability to say, this person, I know this person, I'm going to approve them. If you see somebody highlighted, and we'll go over in a little bit what that looks like, if you see them highlighted and you don't know them, just press delete, and then that'll delete their approval. They'll get removed from your organization. Okay. There's a lot of different landing pages. There's our basic one that's just dragonflymax.com. That'll take you to, I think I saw some of you that says Sports Made Simple. It's got the football team on it. It's really going to take you to the same place. What we kind of want you to bookmark is the Ohio version of the landing page, which is this URL up here is www.dragonflymax.com/Ohio. And there's going to be stuff updated here that's Ohio specific. Okay, so again, there's the overall DragonFly Max page. It'll take you to the same places. But on this particular URL for you guys, you're going to have links to your Ohio specific trainings, things like that on this particular page. So again, not a horrible idea to either star or bookmark this page. So you can click on it, get there right away. Also, your school staff, finance directors, and administrative assistants that need access, I would probably have them bookmark this also. We'll be updating this pretty regularly, so any information that comes out from us will be posted there also. Okay. This page in general, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a little intro of what we do and who we are. But the big thing is you're going to be to get started. And so you've got assigners for the assigners in the room. There's different links here, how to create your account. Really, a lot of that is the same for everybody else. The thing that is a little different on these is you're going to have different sections like DragonFly Academy for assigners. There's also DragonFly Academy for school personnel. So you scroll down, athletic directors, new schools, and coaches. A lot of this is Ohio specific, so you're going to say sign up to create your DragonFly account. Again, this piece right here is just another button to get you to the same spot. That's also going to be the login sign up here. But again, just multiple places to get to the same place. Visit DragonFly Academy for schools and coaches for training. What I would suggest when we rolled this out is I lived in DragonFly Academy for a little while. I went to the trainings, I sat in the webinars, things like that, and I learned a general high-level overview of the system, things like that. But I really visited DragonFly Academy quite a bit. DragonFly has done a great job of having these quick 2-minute videos, and they explain every bit of the software. And there's different modules. There's modules for ADs, there's modules for finance officials, modules for assigners, modules for officials. Any category that's going to use this software is a module for. So if you click on this button here, that's going to take you to the Academy page. And again, you're going to get these modules here: AD, Coach, Financial Admin. And I'll just go through one of these. If I press Get Started, it's going to have all these pieces here: how to get started, how to set up your accounts, set up fees, all this stuff that we're going to go over today, but in a quick format that's got quick videos. Like, I think this one's like 2 minutes. A lot of these are 1 minute, but it's a quick YouTube video. If you don't like the YouTube video, there's obviously the print instructions also. That's going to have a quick intercom article, is what we call them. That's got all the information here, how to do what you need to do. Okay. Again, multiple ways to get to the same place. That's also here at the bottom. It's also here up top at the resources. So really anything I go over, you can get through with getting up here also. Okay, weekly Ohio News webinars. Okay, this is going to be huge, kind of what Doug was talking about. If you need additional help and you're not a huge Dragonfly Academy person and you don't want to split screen and learn in that way, that's just fine. We've got team members that hop on daily, and you can sign up for these Ohio-specific webinars. Now, it's not a webinar where someone's talking at you on a certain part of the software. It's really just a one-on-one session. We cap it at 5 athletic directors. So if you sign up for the Ohio ones, you're going to be with just Ohio ADs, which may not be a bad idea since we're all speaking the same language. Okay? To sign up for those, what you're going to do is you're going to click on this Sign Up for Weekly School Webinar, Ohio, and you're going to need a calendar date. And whoever's hosting that training, you get their calendar right here. You can schedule something on their end. This is their open dates. And again, schedule whatever's best for you. You may have one-on-one. It might be 1 person on there. It might be 5. Okay? But again, it's not going to be a massive 200 ADs in a room where we're just talking at you. It'll be a one-on-one with one of our team members on there also. And again, sign up for the Ohio ones. Let's say we're capped out on Ohio ones, we also offer just the general webinar. That again, we cap it at 5, but you might be with an AD from New Mexico, Ohio, and something. And again, do the Ohio ones. If you can't work, that doesn't work your schedule, do one of those general ones also. They'll be there for you too. Okay. Assigners in the room. There's also, if you scroll up, there is COS. Same thing. We call them COS demo or COS webinar. Center for Official Services. Again, there'll be a team member on there to show you how to use the software from the assigner side of things. Okay. Again. It's going to be, we cap it at 5, so we want it to be really interactive and pretty informal just to help you with what your particular needs are in that session. We also have these things called AMAs, Ask Me Anythings. If you just want to hop in for like 5 seconds, ask a question, we're sitting there on a Google Meet with you to help you out with that too. Okay? All those resources are right here if you need it. And then, again, sign up for webinars. When I click on this, another button to get to the same place. This is where you're going to request those live meetings. If you need to, you can also do it from the Dragonfly Ohio page too. Your financial folks, okay? Not a bad idea for them to sign up for a financial web meeting. Again, that's going to be another very small session. We cap it at 5, but that'll be with our CFO, and then your finance people can bounce a lot of stuff off of her, and she'll explain all the financials of Dragonfly and how to get everything connected correctly. We'll do a high-level overview of that today, but may not be a bad idea for them to hop in there. I know Laura from OHSAA is also going to create some financial demos that are Ohio specific, where she'll hop on and our CFO will hop on. She's going to send that information out also. So again, I would say you probably want your finance department hopping on those just so they get everything set up correctly. Okay. Is there any questions on just this basic landing page? Okay. Cool. The reason we call it a landing page, it's where you're going to start. It's kind of your home base. Now, getting started. This is where you're going to get started, log in, sign up. Okay, if you have a small screen, you're not going to see this little button here. You're going to see like a little, we call it a hamburger. It's got 3 lines. You click on it and it expands the same thing. It'll expand all this, headers out, and you'll see all this stuff except just on the side view here. So log in, sign up. That takes you to our page here. You're going to press this bottom button. This is sign up for free. And then you go ahead and just put your information here. I'll create one with you. If you've already done this, I apologize. I just want to make sure that everybody's in before we move on. And we'll make sure everybody's approved before we move on, because most frustrating thing is if you're trying to sit through one of these things and you just have a blank screen that's waiting for approval. So if it takes a little time for us to get approved, we'll just take as much time as we need to for everybody to get into where they need to get to first, and then we can move on with the training. Okay? So first name, last name. Go ahead and put your email. Make a password. Click on the I'm not a robot. And sometimes you get this. Again, just a little extra layer of security. Hopefully I can click all the bicycles. Submit. Then you get this little prompt here. You're just going to press it's me. Just another layer of security to say, hey, make sure this is who you are who you say you are. Press it's me. You're going to get an email. It's going to say verify your email address. I'm going to copy this. Again, this is just basic account creation for anybody that signs up for any other type of website. We do the same type of thing. If I can get to my sign up screen. I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to press submit. Okay, everybody kind of where I'm at right now if you have not yet created an account. Perfect. I'm going to press accept, and you're going to get this blank screen that says get started. Okay, this is where you're going to connect to your school or connect to your schools if you need to. When I press get started, you'll select your role. Now this is also, to your question, this is what your admin team or finance team, this is the process they're going to follow when they get signed up also. So this is where they're going to select their different roles. You as the ADs and the admin, you can edit those roles after they've already signed up with their account. But again, this is the process that they're going to go through. And if they sign up for the incorrect permission, you can edit it and make sure it's correct. So if I'm here, I'm going to go to staff. If I'm an athletic director, click here. If I'm an admin assistant, I can also click here if I'm doing all the stuff that the AD is doing. If there's certain permissions I don't want that person to have, I'm going to have sign up as other school admin, coach, things like that, assigner. And if you guys already sign up in assigner, I'll show you how to edit your roles and make sure you guys have the correct ones. Question?
No. Oh. You're looking over here, there's a lake commissioner here, that's a signer in a white shirt.
Oh, gotcha. Commissioner, signer.
So as treasurers and assistant treasurers, are we other school admin?
Yep, I would do other school admin, and you're gonna get a basic tag that says school administrator, and then that initial person that gets signed in or signed up is gonna go ahead and tag you as financial admin. Okay, but yeah, you'll want to do other school admin, and then you're gonna press here, take you to your state. You'll click on Ohio, and then you'll type in your school. We'll go Troy. You'll click on here. I'm not going to go ahead and add this because he'll get a notification, but I'm going to press join Troy High School, and then I show up under their organizations of people is waiting to be approved. Okay? So before we move on, you're going to get a little line that says waiting to be approved. How many folks have that line right now that says waiting to be approved? Just 2? Cool. Okay. 3?
Yeah, question about.
Yep.
I'm in as athletic director, but the high school versus the middle school option.
Yep.
Is there a way to merge those or be both high school and middle school?
100%. And so there's two answers to that question. The first answer is if you had everything in MyOHSAA under the one organization, right? If you had Troy High School / middle school, and that's all your games were in there, you probably want to do the same thing with this system because that's everything got pulled. If you truly had 2 separate schools in MyOHSAA where it said, Troy High School, Troy Middle School, and those games got pulled that way, then we want to make sure you have access to both the high school and the middle school, and those would truly be 2 separate schools. Now, you still need the one account, but you'll be able to toggle between the 2. Now, on your game schedules, any school that you're attached to is going to show up on your master game schedule. You don't have to cycle between the 2 and click on different groups and things like that. That'll be on your game schedule, but we want to make sure you have access to both. If it pulled over where it's got everything under the 1, we'll make sure we can change the name pretty quickly, and I can do that today before you leave to say middle school / high school or whatever you want it, city schools, local schools, whatever you want it to say, and then we'll just remove that middle school account so people don't accidentally schedule that middle school. Okay? I'm assuming probably quite a few are in that situation. If not, we won't go over that as a whole, but if you are, we can just do it after, after this if you need it. Okay? So real quick.
Can I ask a question? So
Yep.
in Arbiter we were merged, but MyOHSAA we were distinctly separate.
Okay.
High school from middle school.
So your game schedule.
You said something about you can merge it later. So
Well, whatever got, so Arbiter, MyOHSAA, Talk to MyOHSAA, we pulled from MyOHSAA. So depending on and that's one thing we need to look at your game schedule. So if everything pooled under your high school, then we can definitely merge that together and say, hey, this is both. If it pulled as two separate schools, then we'll make sure to that you've got the 2 separate schools in there. Okay. So we just got to look at your game schedule to make sure it's set to where you want it to. We can change anything also. So if it did come as 1 and we do want to change it to 2, it's a few clicks of a button to move that over to the middle school also.
Yeah, so going forward, what we're scheduling against a school district that has a distinct middle school
Mm-hmm.
name and it's separate
Yep.
high school, so it's good to know, on the other side.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. And so the point is, when we merge yours together, or really just change the name and make sure it's set the way you want to remove that middle school. So when there's a school when the school's looking for you guys, that middle school is not going to pop up under when they're searching for his team to schedule. It'll just show up as your city schools, your local schools, or junior/middle school. Okay. Any more questions before we move on that? Because that's been a kind of a topic of conversation that with everything transferring over. Okay. Again, let's stay after. Make sure that your game schedule looks the way you want it to. Okay. Okay. Real quick, are you still waiting for approval? If you are, refresh your screen, see if it works. If not, I'll manually approve you from here before we keep going. Everybody else waiting for approval still? What school are you at?
Mohawk, maybe it just went through.
Okay.
It says waiting for approval from Mohawk.
Okay, perfect. All good. I'll do that really quick. Mohawk? How do you spell it? M-O?
M-O-H-A-W.
Cool. Is it the 605 State Highway, this one?
Yes.
Rhonda and Catherine? Okay. Like I said, guys, give me a quick second. We want to make sure everybody's approved before we move on, so that go to refresh your screen, you'll be good.
I'm not approved yet.
Okay. What school?
It's called Ulysses S. Grant Middle School.
Oh, God. Ulysses. Did I spell it right?
U-L-I-S-S-E-S.
U-L-I?
U-L-Y.
Okay.
S-S-E-S.
Ulysses S. Grant. So I'm going to get out of this screen. This is what you should see. Or you should have seen at the initial startup. You're pressing Get Started, connect to your school. If you need to connect to an additional school, what you're going to do is you're going to click your name down here. You're going to click on My Info, and then Connect to School or Association. I'm going to click on that. And then the process is the exact same. So if you need to connect to your middle schools to see if there was any games that got routed over there, that's how you're going to do it. If you just have the one, then you don't really need to worry about this. But if you need to add as many schools as you need to, that's where you do it. You'd add them one by one there. And again, you'll still have to go through the approval process. Because everybody's approved for at least one school right now, we'll move on without having to approve everybody to their middle schools right now. And our team will kind of do that as we go. Okay? Any questions on adding an additional school? Anything you put in here, you just need the one account. You don't have to cycle between the two. You'll have just the one. Yeah.
For tournaments, in games and matches, in the past, the OHSAA had a separate account in Arbiter.
Yep.
So will that happen automatically? Will become?
Are you talking for like postseason tournaments,
Yeah,
or
postseason tournaments.
it's all going to be dependent on how, because correct if I'm wrong, but a lot of conferences set those up also, like the conference tournament, and the conference will be the host or things like that. Yeah, so you guys will have the ability to have that conversation with your assigner. The conference could potentially set that tournament up, and then you guys would also be the hosts and things like that, but they would oversee it. Now you guys can also set those up amongst each other on the unified game schedule, and I'll show you how to do that. But multiple ways to do it. I think a lot of it's just going to be a conversation between you and your assigner to say, hey.
But for the OHSAA, though, when they send out like sectional games, whatever,
Yeah, so again,
will automatically be part of their.
right. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. So that was actually one of my jobs in New Mexico, was I had to create all those tournaments and make sure that everybody was invited. I wouldn't say invited, but they were included in that tournament. So anything that I made in that tournament and I included, then it showed up on your game schedule and you guys knew that you were part of that particular tournament, whether that be a state tournament or anything like that. Okay. But yeah, correct. So if it's hosted by the state association, then 100% when they add you to that tournament, then you guys, that'll show up on your game schedule. Okay. Everybody's approved. We should be good. If not, just stop me. We'll make sure you get approved. Kind of the layout of what we're going to go through today is we'll go over your schools and people, so how to manage your staff through DragonFly, how to set up your school correctly, make sure all your teams are correct. If you need to make custom teams, we'll go through that also. Next piece is we'll briefly touch on finances, just basic setup. I think you said we had one finance person in the room, so if you need to stay after, for sure, and then definitely sign up for those webinars. But we'll do a brief overview of, hey, how to connect my bank account, how to set up permissions for those bank accounts and those cash accounts, things like that. And then the meat of the presentation and the bulk of this, guys, conversation is definitely welcome on this part, is the game schedule, right? We want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with your game schedule, you're seeing what you want to see, you know how to navigate it correctly, and then from there, at the end of the day, you're going to find your own processes, find your own nuances, things like that, but want to make sure you leave here with some basic navigation skills on the game schedule, okay? So first thing we'll do is you're going to go to this Schools and People tab. I'm going to be in this test school, so I'm not going to be showing anybody's information, so just FYI, I'm in an Ohio test school right now, so you'll go to Schools and People here. Now, just a quick side note, a lot of times this defaults to athlete. Just make sure that these filters are all correct, right? You want to make sure that this says staff. There's no eligibility set up right now, so you can just leave that tag there. It doesn't really matter. What you're going to see is you're going to see somebody highlighted as yellow. If somebody's coming into your organization, that means somebody's signed up to your particular school that's asking for admin rights, things like that, okay? You should see everybody that's connected already here, whether that's yourself or 2 other people that are here today. You'll see them also here. So we should have everybody in here that's set up under your school. Again, anybody that's coming into your school, they'll create the account the same way that you just did, and then I'm going to click on this particular staff member, okay? Their name will be here. Again, I just put staff member here just so for training purposes. I'm going to press approve, and this is one of those things that'll drive you a little bit crazy, but if we nip it in the bud now, you'll figure it out. When I press approve, this little thing comes up here. Just go ahead and type the numbers in, okay? When you start typing, the 4, the black turns to red, 219, and then you'll press approve, okay? When you press approve, you just approve that staff member into your organization. If somebody signed up as the wrong role, you'll be able to edit this with these 3 dots right here, okay? So I'm going to press these 3 dots. I'm going to press change roles, and this is where you're going to pull up all the role sets that you, as the admin, can access for your school, okay? We give you a quick little summary. So if I did want to put in, approve this person as an AD, it's going to tell you exactly what they can see right here. So if I click on CFO, I get a little notice that says, this member can now have rights to manage the financial information. So anything I click, I can get a quick summary of what that individual rule set is going to be able to see. How many of you guys assign track meets, wrestling meets, things like that? Nobody? 1? Okay. Well, obviously you assign it for sure, and league commissioners, ADs that assign. So there's a few. Okay, so if you need to add that role set to your, we'll do that right now before we move forward, is you're going to click on your name. You're going to click on those 3 dots. You're going to go to change roles. And at the bottom, there'll be a little assigner box. Just make sure you tag that assigner box. So that'll give you on the game schedule for those particular events you need to assign. That'll pull up the assigner view where it gives a pop-out. You'll see the officials, things like that. You can assign them yourself as the AD. Sir?
Any reason to pick another role?
I wouldn't. Here the key roles are for you guys. DragonFly admin. DragonFly admin is going to give you the rule set to really control the whole school. Athlete admin, athletic director, and school admin. When you tag athletic director, it's automatically going to check that school admin so it grays it out. Those are the ones that you want. If somebody's coming into your school and you need them to see everything, that's what you want them to have tagged to them. DragonFly admin, athlete admin, athletic director. Those 3 are key. Now, if you need them assigned games for your track stuff, wrestling stuff, cross country, then you tag that assigner role, and that'll show up there. Good. Yes?
Since you approved me first for Mohawk, not our athletic director, because he hasn't even done this yet.
Yep.
It's now telling me I have to approve everybody?
Correct. So the way it works is you're going to get that little yellow box. Now, when you approve him in as the AD, because you're going to have to do that the first time, now he can go ahead and approve everybody else. You don't have to Any athletic director, any admin now has the rule to go ahead and approve people. So anybody you give that admin tag to, it's not going to fall on you. You're not going to sit there and approve every single person that comes in. It'll be a team effort if you have multiple teams on the admin team. Guys, make sure your filters are correct, okay? If you don't see anybody on your list, just make sure this says all sports. Just make sure that says staff. You'll see everybody there. Now, to your point, if I'm connected to multiple schools, I'm going to click on this button here that says select another organization. I'm just connected to the Ohio Test School right now. Anything that I'm toggled to will show right here. So if I have 3 middle schools under kind of my scope, this is where I'll be at. I'll have all the middle schools listed right here. You'll click on one, which will take you to the people tab for that particular middle school. So again, that's an organizational decision, what you want to do. That'll split up your staff members. You'll have your middle school staff and your high school staff. Again, though, on the game schedule, everything will be sit there together. You'll see everything together on the game schedule. Okay? Yes?
So, again, when my athletic director sets his up, am I going to get an email saying I need to approve him, or is he going to have to contact?
I would just have him say, hey, contact you. Yeah, you're not going to get an email that says someone's trying to join your school or association. Yeah.
Okay, so no one would know that, even as athletic director?
When you log in, when you log in, you'll see a little new people icon there. It'll say 1 or 2 or 3. Again, click on that. Make sure your filters are correct. Everybody will show up there that's new. Everybody where we're at, before we move forward. Yes?
The official eligibility where it says prep for 23-24.
You're an official. Yeah, that's your official. So correct. Yeah. Correct. It's reading you as the assigner, so correct. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, do not worry about that.
Does everybody get to see everything on this side? So, like, as an administrator in the backside, do I get to see the game schedules and all that?
It's up to you guys. The rule sets show different things. Right.
Okay, so that's where the rule sets come in, and who sees the monies, who sees
Correct.
the games, who sees all
exactly.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Does only one person transfer the money?
You could have multiple people, but again, it's up to you guys. Okay. Next piece of this is just make sure your teams are set up correctly. This is a one-time setup. You don't have to mess with this ever again unless you start adding different teams. If you have like a JV-A team and then you have enough kids for a JV-B team, then you would need to revisit this page. For now, everything is preloaded just as a basic varsity down to 7th grade. Okay, now if you need to add more, you can. If you need to delete some, you can. You're going to go to the setup teams. Make sure you're in the correct academic year. Okay, we're going to roll everything over to 23-24 very, very soon. There were still some states kind of tying up some loose ends. We'll push a massive rollover so everything will default from here on out to say 23-24, so you don't have to toggle this every time. That should happen any day now. We were shooting for July 1, but it's probably going to happen a little sooner now that we get this rolling. Okay, so everybody should be here, yes? Perfect. You do not have to declare, okay? If you press declare, some states have that set up where that routes to their state office. This is there. It's not going anywhere. You do not have to declare. Anything that's in this list is going to show up on your game schedule as a toggle when you're starting to choose teams for that particular game that you're creating the game for. So if you don't participate in some of these sports, which I'm sure that a lot of these you won't, you can remove them by pressing these 3 dots. You can delete it. It does not matter too much at this point for what you guys are using it for. This is really for if you have athletes, parents signing up. They're just going to see the sports that you guys participate in. Again, whatever you have in here is going to show up as a drop-down when you start scheduling those sports-specific games. So you can clean this up if you wanted to. You don't have to. You do not have to declare. You don't. So there are some states that have that set up where you press declare and that routes you to the state office that says, hey, I am participating in JV baseball this year. For you guys, you're using it for the game schedules. As long as they're in here, they'll show up on your list of schools you can set up for. Okay. To your point, if you only have a certain...
But no, like we have varsity, but I only see JV on.
If you're missing a sport, you can always add the team here. I'm going to press add team. I'm going to put the level here. Put the sport. Now, most of our drop-downs, and you can do it with this one too, you just type it in and it kind of shrinks it for you. This is when I would kind of make sure you're on the right rule set, make sure you have the correct sport code tagged. You can type in here. If I want to type football, it'll take me right to football.
Is there, you can all levels, or you can be on tennis per se, you can do
You'd have to move each individual team. Yeah, I mean, it's the 3 dots delete, 3 dots delete. Now, there are some options. You can embed your ticket link in here for that individual game. So anytime you schedule that game, that ticket link will show up on that public-facing site we have. We'll go over later. And then also, NFHS Network, things like that. You can embed those also in here too. So anytime I schedule the game for my varsity football, those will be embedded into my public-facing site if we use that side of things. Okay, if you don't take anything out of this section of this video, or I'm sorry, this particular set of teams, make sure you pay attention to this list part. Okay, when I click on lists, this is how I'm going to create my custom team. So we know that everybody's got the defaults. I got a varsity team, I got a JV team, I got a freshman team. If you need to add JV blue, JV green, I worked with a middle school that had, they had like 5 teams, but the team name had the school name, and then the last name of the coach was the team name. So it would say like something middle school Martinez. That's how they delineated those specific teams. To create those, you're going to go to lists, and you're going to press add list. The system will read this as a team. It just separates it on this side so you can keep yourself organized. Okay? So when you start scheduling games, scheduling teams, you will be able to schedule your JV orange or your JV green team from your game schedule as long as you put it in here. This is where that's going to pull from. Okay? So if I want to type in JV green, make sure it's the correct sport code. We'll go football. Now, if I'm doing this for my entire school, I'm going to want to do save and add more, and it's just going to keep this screen open, and I can just start adding my teams as I need to. If I just want to do this one time, I'm going to press save list. I'm going to press confirm, and it says the list is set up correctly. Now, there are options to do mixed, which is not a bad idea for you guys. If you guys have mixed wrestling and you don't want to set up a girls' wrestling meet and a boys' wrestling meet, you just want to say, hey, I'm having a wrestling meet or a wrestling tournament. I'm going to set it up as a mixed team because I don't want to create the 2. Next piece. There's another important piece, setting up your school. This part is a one-time setup. This is where you're going to edit everything via your school. Make sure your addresses are correct. Make sure your physical address is not your mailing address, things like that. You'll scroll down. You have the option to have your mailing address here. Make sure this is correct. Okay, this is the one that you do want to make sure is correct. If you don't add facilities, which hopefully most of you do add your facilities, if you don't, your game schedule is going to default to whatever you have in your school physical address. Okay, so worst case scenario, your gym's obviously connected, most of you, to your school. So if you do not select a facility and create a facility, at least it's going to route those officials to the school itself. But again, I would suggest you make your facilities, but this has got to be correct. There's some schools that we've seen that left their mailing up, their PO box here. Make sure this is a physical address. Okay. Phone number for the school, just general phone number. The important piece for you guys is facilities. So I'm scrolling down. I've got my test ones that I just made. I've got test football stadium, test baseball complex. I can add as many of these as I need to. Again, when we get to that game creation, that game schedule, when you start pressing that drop down, any facility that you have listed under your school is going to show up. It's pulling from this. So again, make sure this part is the way you want it to look. And again, it's a one-time setup if you need to. So I'll go through add a facility with you. You're going to click on add a facility. We'll say test softball complex. Anything in the asterisk is required. You can put a phone number for the complex if you want to here. The more information, the better. Make sure it's the physical address. You'll press save and verify. It'll verify that address. Then you can put as much information in this or as little information as you want to. Again, the important thing is the facility name and the address so officials know where to go. Okay? You can put a facility administrator in here, their contact information, so like a site admin. But again, you guys are probably going to be that site admin most of the time. If you have someone that's set for that site admin, you can list them there if you need to. And then there's also stuff you can put in here also, seating capacity, where's the main entrance, things like that, details of the facility that you might want officials to know. Again, the important thing is that main facility address is correct. You will have the ability when you're creating the game schedule to go down to location notes and then give them specific information to say, hey, we're having construction on the front door, you know, enter on the east side, or my official's entrance is on this side of the parking lot, things like that. You can put on the individual location notes when you start creating the games. Okay, again, you have a lot of information you can put here. The important thing here is the name and the address. Okay, then you've got your links here. Again, you can embed ticket links. You can embed watch links all in here. This will show up on that public-facing site. School colors. If you guys do send out invoices and you want your school color on the top of that invoice, this is where you set that up. And then big piece here is data sharing. So you can share data with VNN or share data with FMX. Don't really know why our FMX box is massive, but does the same thing as the VNN box. When you click on this, that just opens the gateway for us. So when we hit the deploy button on the integration, if you have that box checked, it'll share your data with FMX or VNN if you guys already do that. Okay? And again, this is all in that setup school section of the setup teams. Yes? Ooh, you guys know better than I do. Who uses the FMX in here? You want to explain FMX?
It's like a facility management platform. We also use it for maintenance. So if there's anything wrong with classrooms or facility, like if I want to put up 2023 banner, I just put that in FMX. But then,
buses.
Yeah,
Buses.
so transportation.
So on our side of things, anything you're putting in the game schedule will transfer over to FMX. Okay. Sir.
Can you go over the links one more time?
Yeah, like the watch links, ticket links, and all that?
Yeah, so just connect to VNN.
Oh, the VNN, yeah, at the bottom.
If we've already entered contests in for 23-24, if we click that data sharing button, will it double up everything that's in the system?
It shouldn't, and that's something I'll bring up to these guys. So for you, I would probably not check that right now if you've got everything in there. And then we'll see if it overrides anything. Most of the time when we do a data share or anything like that, it's a one-way pool. And so I'll ask. You know, the benefit of having that integration is anytime you update something in your game schedule, you don't have to go to FMX and update it there also, so it'll be pulling from there.
When we set up our teams, right, our men's golf team or women's golf team, and we put our golf course in there, Wyandotte Golf Course, and it's one of the facilities, is there a way to automatically link it to men's and women's golf?
Yep.
So that we, okay, you don't have to go with it now.
Yeah, I can go through that after this. But yeah, you can set a default. So anytime I schedule a football game, it's going to route to my varsity, to my whatever my football stadium is. Same thing, golf, it's going to route there. Now the nice thing is, whatever facility you put in, it's going to come up on your drop down first when you're scheduling games. It's also going to show up on other people's schedule as facilities nearby. So that's important for golf courses, important for swimming pools, things like that, where you don't have a swimming pool at your campus. You're all sharing the same one. If you don't add it in there, it'll show up as nearby facilities, and then you can filter that. Say, I want to see all facilities within 50 miles of me, all facilities within 100 miles of me, and you can schedule those also. Okay.
One of the issues I've run into with facilities when I'm creating one is sometimes it'll let me associate sport, and sometimes it won't.
Yeah, that drop down had a little bug in it, and we're fixing it. So we'll get it squared away.
Because like I just made our golf course and let me do it, but then I can go to make our swimming facility.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that should be fixed pretty soon. I mean, I'll call these guys right after this, and we'll get it squared away. Okay.
I understand that the platform is for paying officials mostly, but with the invoice configurations, are we able to pay like game event fees or whatever to River Valley, Pleasant's
100%.
meeting with River Valley for track or something,
Exactly.
$150 fee. Schools can.
You can invoice, yeah, you can invoice a school, you can invoice an organization. Correct. Yep. Now we'll go through that in a second. I've got a little section on there to show you how to do that. But 100%, you can send an invoice for a school, they can pay it, and then it's pretty much going into your cash account now, and then you can withdraw it to your bank if you need to. Okay. Again, people, set up teams, set up school, that's kind of where you're going to live at. That's that one-time setup, so hopefully you guys get that set up now. You will have to revisit this every so often if anything changes, but again, you'll stay here for a while, but the initial setup is what you want to make sure is correct. So people, make sure my teams are correct, make sure my lists that I've added are correct, and then my setup school tab, make sure that's the way I want it to look. And then you don't have to mess with that again. Okay, before I leave this particular section, schools and people, have you got any questions? Okay, here's a simple one that I know that we've addressed is how do I add my team logo? You have the little landscape button up here. I already put one in there, but it should have where the picture will be. You can just do a normal, just click on it, left click, and it pulls up your browser and you can have anything there. You upload your logo. Same thing if you want to put your profile logo, same type of setup. You go to My Info, do the same thing. You'll set up your profile picture there too. Not a horrible idea to do that, so when officials show up to your school, they know who they're looking for. May not be a bad idea to push that out to your officials to upload their profile picture as well, so AD knows who they're looking for, right? Because on the game schedule, it's going to show up. It's going to show up as their picture, which is always, pretty helpful to know who's coming. All right, okay, I'm going to move on if everybody feels good with this side of things. Okay, we'll go over the finances, okay? You got school funds, and then you've got My Money, okay? My Money is going to be your personal. So if you're an official, or you do a game, or you work a game for your school, or you work the gate or the concessions or whatever, that money will come to your My Money. So that's not your school, and that's going to be your personal setup. And we can go over that separately if you want to. It's going to be a very similar setup to your school funds, though. So this school funds tab is where I want to set up everything via my school. Okay, that pulls up this screen right here. You have the option to set up fees from here. The setup that you want to look at right now is this Manage Accounts. You're going to have this DragonFly Cash account, and it's going to default to your school. Okay, that's just your basic DragonFly Cash account. That's auto-generated for everybody. You're going to press Add New Account, and I'm going to add my form of payment that I want. Okay. Most efficient way is going to be ACH. I'm going to press Bank Account, create my account, check the one I want. This is probably a business one, checking, and then you'll go through and add those details here.
Now, even with ACHing through Arbiter, it would still take 5 to 10 business
take about
days.
2 to 3 business days.
That's really what it was. So that's what it is with DragonFly.
Yep.
It takes about 3 days max for it to reflect in the account.
Yeah, so plan accordingly. I mean, make sure that you upload the correct amount, and you're uploading it to your cash accounts, guys. That's what you're doing. You're uploading those funds to that particular DragonFly cash account that you get. So, like, what's your school called? Pleasant. So you're uploading it to Pleasant's cash account, and then now with the cash accounts, you can divvy those up as you need to. You can add as many cash accounts as you want to, and add as little. Our finance director in my old job, she liked it in just one spot. So it said general fund, and everything coming in, coming out was in that general fund. I did talk to quite a few directors and finance directors that liked it divvied up, where you would have, here's my football cash account, here's my baseball cash account, here's my track and field cash account, and then upload the funds particular to that football cash account. Now you can move them around as you need to, but it divvies it up a little bit. Okay, so again, you got the general one, which is personal preference if you like that, or you can divvy it up and say football, baseball, categories are really sky's the limit what you want to do.
Is there a way to restrict the access specifically to the school funds for CFL only?
100%. So when I'm adding my account, when I add my bank account, create account, I'm going to scroll through, add my information in here. This box is going to be the important one for you all, is who can use this account. All right? Now you can have the ability to say all admin can use that account, which if you're really, really making sure you're approving the correct people in, may not be a bad idea. Anybody that's an admin in my school can see those finances and do those type of things. If I just want the CFO to see it, or I just want a particular individual to see it, I'm going to press Select Individuals, and then you get a drop down of everybody connected to your school, and you're going to connect that person. So for instance, your CFO, I just want the CFO to see this. You'll click on that, and you'll press Save.
Now, what if we don't mind them seeing it, but actually hitting the button to transfer from the bank to DragonFly. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So it's saying who can use this. Okay. You can view it.
Got it.
Can't use it. Yeah.
Is there a difference between transferring the funds and pay? So like, can it be the chief financial officer changes, like transfers,
100%.
but then the AD can pay?
So when you start adding cash accounts, so I can have the CFO that's just can use the bank account itself and move funds around. And then you can set rule sets for each individual cash account. So the AD can use the football account, but the initial upload would be just the CFO. Okay? So you can set that up as restrictive as you want to, as open as you want to. I'm going to go to our beta site because I don't want to show schools' financials. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like, what it will look like without showing anybody's personal stuff here. So this is all data from our beta site. So this is what your bank account will look like. You got test account here. Now, we use Assistant, and I'll briefly go over this, but you're going to get a question on this, I'm sure, and this is something that you may want to go over with your finance directors, things like that, is when you add a bank account, we do a micro deposit verification. Right? And so if anybody that's done any other ACHs, that's most of the time what happens is, so I'm going to connect my account, and you can't use it right away. DragonFly is going to send you 2 small deposits less than $1, and that's going to go directly to your bank account. It's not going to go to your cash account, your school account. It's going directly to your school's bank account. You'll have 2 boxes on your bank account that says verify. You're just going to enter those 2 small deposits into those empty boxes. You'll press verify. You get a big green check mark that verifies it for us, that verifies it for you, that you're the authorized user of the account. Okay? You might get 3 deposits. All that is, you're going to get the 2 small ones, and the third one is both of them together. Okay? So if you see a 10 and a 7 and a 17, this is the one that your bank combined it, and it's the 10 and the 7 you want to use. Okay? Again, from here, I can edit the account and access who can see it. So if I do mess up on the first setup and I have all admins set it up, I can always edit it, go there and change those permissions as I need to. Select individuals, and you're going to get everybody in here. So I can make Clint the only one that can use this account. Okay, now here's divvied up. Again, this is our test site, so you're going to see a lot of separate cash accounts, but you can set up your cash accounts here, and all these you can say this is a payment source or it's not a payment source. And again, you can do all that by editing the cash account. Edit as a payment source, yes or no. Maybe I just want that money housed in there and I don't want to pay from it, then you'll toggle the no. If you do want to make payments from it, you'll toggle the yes. Okay? Again, those are your individual cash accounts. So distinction, you got your bank account, and you've got your DragonFly cash accounts that you set up. Okay, sir?
So this is a question for our treasurers in the room. Sorry to put you on the spot. So right now I have 2 accounts. One is Shelby High School General Fund and one is Shelby Middle School General Fund. But paying out of the treasurer's office, is it better to have just one account, Shelby City Schools or the district?
Again, it's up to you in our system. I won't speak for the people that do finances, but if you are connected to a high school and a middle school, as long as that CFO is connected to both schools, they're going to have a drop down to say, hey, I'm using just the high school bank account or just the middle school account. They don't have to toggle between the 2 schools. Again, there's a drop down with every school that they're connected to and every bank account they're connected to also. So they can go ahead and create those cash accounts for the middle school, create those cash accounts for the high school. Now, there are situations where you've got a large, like a 13 high school district, where that financial admin is paying out all those, and so they don't want to particularly be connected to all 13 high schools and see all their game schedules. They just want to pay. We can set that up on our own. Just let us know if that's what you want to do. It takes a little bit of development work, but that finance director can have a drop down of all those schools and be the payment source and set that up for your particular schools in your district.
So I have 2 different buildings, I can set up one account, pay for it.
100%. Yep, exactly. And again, that goes back to the point of having 2 schools or whatnot. If you have everybody under city schools, then you're just going to have that one payment source and then your individual cash accounts, maybe middle school, high school. If you do have the 2 separate schools where they're truly 2 separate bank accounts, you'd connect the middle school bank account to the middle school, connect the high school bank account to the high school, connect your CFO to both schools, and then they just have that when they go to pay, they can obviously access both. Okay? from this section right here in the drop down. Yes?
I have a question then. So from the treasurer's point of view, the report monthly that we're going to need
Yeah.
to use to reconcile, well, if you only have one cash account, will it show whether it's a high school or middle school game, or will it just show River Valley what the school's paid?
So what
Because we pay by building.
Yeah, so you probably want to set those separate cash accounts up so it shows up as a line item it delineates for you. Now, that's my next point. I'm going to go over the reporting on the financial side. Okay? So again, guys, sign up for those demos, especially when Laura pushes those out. Sign up for the demo with Laura and our CFO. They're going to dive deep into the financial side of things. I'm not a finance person, so I'll answer as much as I can, but they're going to really give you the rundown on the financials. Okay? And also, if you don't want to wait on that particular, that we do these financial demos pretty much daily. So you can sign up for one right now if you wanted to in that beginning section I showed you. Just click on financial demo. You'll get Dana as her name, our CFO's calendar. Just schedule a meeting with her. Okay? Okay, again, so here's the cash count. Again, this is just test data, so I'm not messing with anybody's stuff here. Your point, reports, I've got a bunch of different options here, right? So I can toggle between all my different cash counts here, okay, in this drop down. So I can see my high school and middle school stuff all here if I needed to. If I just had the city schools one, then my city schools will just show up here. This is going to show everything in and out, right? This is just like your statements showing everything coming in, showing everything coming out. If I want to pull a report, I want to see the financial summary. I'm going to pull it from which fund do I want, the general fund, or anything I have connected. To your point, this is where I can pull that report. So I can pull just a middle school report, just a high school report, depending on my cash, just a particular cash account report, things like that. Press generate. You'll get a PDF of this. You'll have your logo up there at the top. It'll give you just some general information here that you need. Again, I'm in this report section. You've also got a monthly statement. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to pull everything for June. This will pull it in a true CSV file so that you can mess with it and manipulate it as you need to. Okay. Item amount, balance, in and out, things like that. Have the description of the transaction. And you can, you do it by sport. I don't have to go through all this. I can if you want me to, but by sport, cash account summary, transaction history, and then if I just want to see everything, I'm going to press cash account, all data, and I'm going to get blasted with everything that's came in, came out, all the item descriptions, things like that. It's a massive report, so that's why we've divvied it up for you to have it. I just want to see the monthly stuff, or I just want to see by sport. But if you truly just want everything, just press that one. It's going to give you all the data, and then you can filter it out as needed.
No, I like that fee column. Is that what the fee is per officials paid?
Which one?
The fee column.
Oh, yes, exactly, yes. So when I go and pay my officials, yeah, exactly. You'll see exactly what you paid them as, depending on the categories that you've set up, but you'll see the game fee there, right there.
What are the fees? Are there DragonFly fees?
Oh, the fees itself to use to pay.
Like
so I'll go
pay
through
the
that
officials.
with the game schedule, right? So,
Okay.
And I'll let Doug weigh on this a little bit. For Ohio, per transaction, it's going to be $1.50, but it's per official per date worked. Per date worked. So if I have a official come in and work my freshman game, my JV game, and my varsity game, I'm going to pay them all 3 game fees, obviously, but I'm getting charged that transaction fee just the one time. So $1.50 per official per date worked is the transaction fee that we use, okay, for Ohio. Any questions on that before we move on? I know that's a pretty big piece of conversation. Do we want to sit on that for a little, or do we just want to move on with the software and then? Okay. Okay, so accounts, okay, where we left off. This is anything coming in, coming out. If I click on this particular line item, it's going to pull up the transaction details. I can open up the receipt. It's going to give me a nice little PDF receipt that I can forward to that individual if I wanted to, or if somebody's asking for a receipt, that's there if you need it. And then to your point, your invoices, okay? Now, on the invoices side of things, I can go ahead and create one, title it, When I press select another organization or select organization, I can type in whatever I want here. I'm going to do a test one. Okay, now I'm going to put in here which cash account I want that to go into when they do pay that. Description of the item so it shows up on that line item correctly. Put the price of the invoice. I can add as many line items as I need to. Enter the details of the invoice, the due date of the invoice, and then press send. Okay, what that looks like for them, for the payee, is going to show up on their invoice section as a little red triangle here. It says it's an open invoice. Okay, when they pay that, it'll go into a thumbs up that says you paid this invoice. Now you've got a lot of your filters here that you can use. All right, I've got people who owe me, to be paid, all my invoices, my paid invoices, my open invoices, my rejected invoices, things like that. Okay.
Is there a fee for paying invoice?
I'll add that. I'm pretty sure it's that same $1.50 transaction fee. Correct.
Can you manually say that someone paid you if they've not? Like, they sent me a check and I create an invoice?
What?
Can I manually say that they've paid me through a PO?
Oh, like saying Mark is paid.
If I have a golf invite, I have 20 teams
right.
there. I send everybody an invite. They give me, Mechanicsburg gives me a check.
Yep.
And I check and here it says yes, they paid me. Here's the check number.
Let's see. I don't know the answer to that one. We do have that feature for definitely like officials side of things. Mark is paid. So I don't see why it's not in here. Again, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not going to sit up and let you know the answer to that. I'll get an answer for you after this on that, okay? Okay. Any questions that, again, I'll get an answer for you after this on the invoicing side of things, financial side of things. Again, please sign up for those financial demos with our CFO. Sign those up with when Laura pushes those out. They're going to really be able to dive into the little questions like that, okay? Got a lot to cover the game schedule, so faster we get in and the faster we can start getting to questions and get on out of here. So real quick, I did want to clarify a few things. To your point, was there a mark is paid on the invoice? There 100% is. So if I have an open invoice and I get that payment via any other option, I'm going to go here and just press mark invoice is paid. That's the little 3 dots that I can do there. Now, officials, the per date is $1.50. Invoices, things like that are going through the system that are not officials is that $2 transaction fee. Okay? Okay, I wanted to clarify that. Is there any questions on any of that before I move on? Yeah, your officials is the $1.50 per official per day worked. If you're paying through an invoice or doing invoicing schools, things like that, that's where you get the $2. Okay? Okay. Okay, game schedules. General navigation, before we do a deep dive into game schedules, make sure that you have got this correct academic year to 23-24. This will default, it's a touch screen, whoops, cool. If you're in 2022-23, unless somebody's went in and created some test games, you're not going to see anything here. Don't panic. Make sure you go down to 23-24. And then your game schedules will pop up there. Okay? If you are not seeing anything here, even after you change the filter to 23-24, then you need to let us know and then we need to make sure to map it correctly. Okay? Okay, general navigation of this whole game schedule, guys, is if I go to sport, I'm going to see a whole lot of sports. Do not try to scroll through and click on this, okay? Because you're going to sit there and scroll forever. Just type it in, okay? So if I type in football, it's going to shrink that schedule down to just football. If I want to look at just my volleyball stuff, type in volleyball. It's going to show just volleyball, okay? And then I have the ability to filter my men's, my women's, things like that, my mixed. But again, if I'm going to type football in here, I can have multiple filters, so I can have football, I can see volleyball, and I can make that as much as I need to or as little as I need to. I'm going to keep it football just now. Okay, once I select a sport, then I've got a level, which is going to be all levels. Okay, this will get cleaned up in a little bit. Right now, it's got everything that got pulled over. So you're seeing the 7th/8th, you're seeing all that stuff that got pulled over, but this is where you're going to filter your level. So I just want to see my varsity schedule. Officiating status, anything that needs attention, anything that's unassigned, all my assigned stuff is going to be here. And then this date range, okay? Now, I know what you guys are used to. You've got the little calendar view. Double click if I want to see one particular date. I can select a specific date range. So if I want to see this week, I'm going to go ahead and go to, let's go to June because that's where we're at. I'm going to see June 12th through the 16th. That's how I see that full week. Okay? If I want to see one particular date, I'm going to double click on that. And I'm going to see anything on that particular date. Okay? So again, I want to see everything 2023, June 14th. Double click. I don't know why mine's defaulting to 22-23, but I'm going to see everything just on that particular date. Okay? So you've got the little slider option where I can do a custom date range. I can set that to a month, 2 months, a week, whatever you want it to. Double click on it. It's going to show that particular game on that one particular date. Then I've got this other box that says filters here. What I can do here is I can type in any custom filters. So if I need to see just my middle school stuff or just my high school stuff, this is where I'm going to do that. I'm going to type in school. I can click it or I can type on it. And then any school that I'm affiliated with is going to show up in that drop down. Whatever I click on there, it's going to show that particular school. I've also got, yes sir, what's up?
Is there a reason it keeps kicking back to 22-23?
Yeah, because right now the system's defaulted to 22-23. That'll roll out very, very soon. We're going to update that to default to 23-24. The reason that was set is there were some states finishing up their state tournaments, things like that. We'll do a massive push to say, hey, the whole thing's going to default to 23-24, so you won't have to toggle that filter anymore. That's a pain in the butt having to go and change that every 5 seconds.
That's the reason I don't have filters.
It's under here. So if you have a smaller screen, right here.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, if you have a smaller screen, that little filter box is going to get thrown under your other filters. But it's still there for you if you need it. Okay? Okay, any questions on just general navigation filters, sir?
Don't see any of our games.
Okay. Yeah, let's check. If you don't see anything, then that's we need to map it. Yeah. That's okay. I mean, we've got the data. We just need to map it. General filters. Now, if you have the assigner view tagged, which you can do, you've got your schedule view, which gives me a nice condensed version, which is the one you're looking at right now. Again, my opinion, I think that schedule view is really nice because it condenses everything and it's a little smaller list, so I can see more games at a time. I see the logos, just a cleaner view to look at. If you do assign at your school and assigners in the room, there also is that assign view. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to show any official that I've got assigned in a quick view. If I don't have that assign view, then you're not listed as assigned. We need to toggle that if you need it. Then there's the pay view, so I can quickly see who I paid, how much I paid in that pay view also. I'm going to switch over to a real school so you can kind of see what this looks like when it's all said and done. Okay, any questions on filters before I move on?
So is there a way we can clean up the sport drop down where it doesn't say sailing and fencing and all that?
It's going to say everything. That's what I'm saying. You want to make sure to type that in. Do not try to scroll through because you're going to scroll through everything. Just type it in. It shrinks everything down. Once you start getting pretty familiar with the system, I mean, you're just going to start typing in the filters you want to see. Checkbox, it'll shrink it down for you.
You can also search on the other side too.
Which?
Like in the filter section on the right,
Mm-hmm.
you can type football.
Yep. Yeah, guys, please type in that filter box. That's going to shorten that a whole lot. Okay, next piece is when I click on a game, it's going to pull out this little sidebar that says game details. Okay, everything in here is going to show the game details, regular season, sport, level, date, teams that are playing. So again, what you set up in your back end on this Setup Teams tab is going to show up in this drop down here. Okay, so if this particular team was to set up a JV green or JV blue, that would be showing up in this drop down. Your facilities, anything you set up in your facilities is going to show up in here also. I've got the junior high that defaulted, then I've also got this Morris Field that this middle school had set up also. And this is what I was talking about earlier, other nearby facilities. I'm going to see everything that's nearby to them that I can also use as a facility. Sir?
We play football at 2 different places depending on the level. It gave them all to the same level. How do I edit?
Yeah, for sure. I'll go through that in a second, and that might be something me and you sit down to change the teams and the levels and things like that. Okay, it's a few clicks to change teams, edit things.
If it's already set up in right now with that one team, is there a way to like mass change it, or you have to?
Yeah, we'll default all those particular sports to that facility or that level to that facility.
Even if like the stuff that was pulled.
Yep, for sure. Okay. You'll have these tabs up here. You got game details, officials and workers, documents, key people. This is where you're going to see the officials on the game. Looks like this was a junior high game with 1 person. I'll go to a varsity game that's got like a 5-person crew on it. Okay, you're going to see all the officials on the crew in that officials and workers tab. Nice thing is here, I can click on that in official's name. It's going to pull out a dropout. Now, if you have the assigner tag, you're going to see a little more than what you would see as just an athletic director. But you're going to see the details here. You're going to see their phone number. You're going to see their email address. If I needed to send a quick call to them, you know, this is where you're going to find that from them. Now, on the assigner side of things, you're going to have their game counts on here. You're also going to have their blocks on here also. But again, if I click on Eric, I'm pulling up his details. I've got his phone number. I've got his email here also. Okay. I'm seeing the full crew here. Payments, I can do it individually. I can press the money sign, and I can set an individual payment. Now, if the assigners have set those pay fee policies up, that's going to auto-populate for you. You can obviously override anything. You can pay them more if you needed to in here, but that's going to be the auto default, whatever that assigner sets up with that fee policy for. Okay. That'll be listed right here, game fee policy. If I want to pay all of them at one time, I'm going to press this Manage Payments button, and then I'm going to see an overall view of that crew. Okay, and again, that'll default to whatever that pay fee policy is set to. If I want to pay later, I can add them to a pay sheet. If I want to pay them now, I'm just going to pay now. Anything I add to a pay sheet is going to come up as right next to my Add Game button. When I click on that, it's going to show me a nice pay sheet that says this is what I owe, and you can pay them all at one time. So you can pay X amount of games at once. Or if I just want to go through and pay those officials at halftime for that particular basketball game, I can go in there, pay the game, and then by the time they're done with their game, they've got their payments in there also.
Is that
okay.
how you then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
Is that how you then manage the $1.50? Like if an individual works 3 games for you in that day, you could pay them through the pay sheet, or if you do it individually, it'll still count as
whatever. Yep, exactly. The system will still read it as that per date worked. Okay. Yep.
Will we be able to print out vouchers for the officials?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So this is just the, hey, I want to pay through the system. I'm going to click on this, manage payments. I can do it right there, pay now. If I go to documents and I press create document, oh, let me go to your guys' stuff. To your point, if I go to payment vouchers, I'm going to click on this. I've got officials voucher, workers voucher, officials and worker voucher. and it's going to pull out this little voucher I can hand out to my officials prior to. It's got a signature line, it's got their name, and it's also got the fees here also. Again, to get there, create document, payment voucher, officials voucher, yep. And again, whatever you had set up as your logos, things like that, that'll be set up right here. Also, let's create document for you guys. You've got that game contract button. When I click on this, it's going to generate a quick game contract. It's going to have the details of the contract here, contract length, games that it covers, terms and conditions of the contract. You can put a forfeiture fee in there, additional terms of the contract, and then both schools can sign and agree to that contract there. Yeah, what you got?
When everything pulled over with last year's fees, and we've raised those for our officials' pay. Is there a way to change?
Yeah, for sure. So what we'll want to do is look at that fee policy, and then we need to do a set as default. And so what that'll do is that'll set all those levels to that default fee policy. Okay. Again, all that's in that game document section. You got the game contract. I got my payment vouchers there also. The helpful piece for you guys is going to be that Key People tab. It's going to show all the assigners for the contest. It's going to show those officials for the contest. And then it's going to show both ADs. Okay? If a coach is set up in the system, it'll show the coach also. So if I need to send a mass communication to that school or to that those officials, I can do that through here. I can send that out as just a quick push, and I don't want them to respond, or I can also ask them to respond also. So to do that, I'm going to click on this here. It's going to be from myself. Now I can do all key people on the event. I can send it to just the ADs on the event. I can send it just the coaches, just the assigners, just the officials, or I can send it to everybody. If I do need to send it to individuals, I can go through here and do that there. I'm going to enter the subject, put the content in, and then press send. What I can do is if I want officials to respond, I'm going to check that respond box there where it says receive reply emails. That'll go back to my personal email that I have in the system. Okay, so the initial push email is going to be, here's an email from DragonFly from Dylan Metzger. That's going to say, here's a quick announcement for the particular game or not. When they respond to that, it's going to go to my personal email. Okay. Not a bad idea to CC yourself in it. So if I copy myself, that's going to go to the email I have in there also. Yep.
That's under the Key People tab?
Correct. Yep. Correct. And so right now, when officials start signing up and linking their accounts, those names will start populating and coming up there also. Okay. Any questions on that piece at all? Again, you click on the game, that's what pulls out this little game details box. Got my game details, officials and workers, documents, key people. This is where I can message everybody if needed. Again, quick push notification. It's going to come from DragonFly from you. Quick announcement, they can't respond to it. If I do want to respond to it, if I do want them responding, I'm going to click on that box, and that comes my way.
So like on our varsity soccer page,
yep.
Our official assigner did not transfer over. Do I got to go through each game and reassign that back to the assigner? So
no, we need to create that link to that particular assigner. So once we create a link, and I'll show you that here in a sec, when we create that link to that assigner is going to have access to all your soccer games depending on the levels that we give them. Yeah, you do not have to go in there and manually do that. No way. So if you're missing an assigner in a contest, we've got to make sure that you have that assigner in that box. If you click on this particular game, and it says here, no assigners found, we need to fix that today, okay? Because that means that that your assigners are not seeing your game, okay? Any questions on the game details side of things? Cool. Okay. A quick tip on this, if I need to truly cancel a game, whether it's weather or lightning or whatever, I'm going to click on this X. That's going to give me the option to cancel the game. That keeps the officials on the game. Okay? That shows that the game was canceled on record. It's going to lock it. You're going to have to reschedule it before you delete it. If I really want to truly just delete the game and remove everybody associated with it, I'm going to go here to this trash can button and press delete. Okay? So if I incorrectly put a game in or a game's in there incorrect, I'm going to press the trash can. That deletes it from the system. The X is going to actually cancel the game, and so it's listed as canceled.
Have you guys locked the ability for someone to mess with someone else's contracts on this yet?
On the contract you're saying? Or like what do you mean?
I would not want an away school to be able to delete or cancel my contract that I put in.
Right.
That's been a major problem in Arbiter. Is that fixed going into this?
So right now what we've done is we've loosened those rules right now because we imported everything. So we need you guys to go make sure and edit everything and make sure everything's correct on your end. Now, again, I think part of the conversation was to let everybody edit it up to the time of the contest. And so those are conversations that need to happen. I think the last conversation that we had was that. That's where I landed, was anybody can update the contest up to the contest date. Now, if you do update it, if it...
I tell you, I had this conversation with Brian. If it's a tournament, nobody can mess with it except for you. If it's an individual contest between two schools, either school can make change.
Yep. Now, to that point, you're going to get blasted with an email. So if Dylan Metzger makes the change, it's going to send an email to everybody involved in the contest that I made the change. Okay?
The problem is, how do you hold a school accountable to a football contract if they can just go delete it?
Well, again, you're going to get a huge email, and that game's going to disappear off your schedule, and so that's going to probably trigger a quick phone call to that AD and say, hey, why'd you remove that game from my game schedule? Or
It's already gone. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, again, you're going to get blasted with a notification.
That's the problem. Because we've had this. Kip didn't want to play us. They canceled the contract. Fortunately, I had backed that contract up. I don't want to do that. I don't want them to be able to touch my stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have a box that we can click to eliminate anyone else being able to do that.
There is a box that says allow school modification, right? And if you check that box, we'd have to trigger that for you guys, but it would say that it doesn't let anybody touch my stuff. But again, that unified game schedule, the point is, if somebody edits that or deletes that, I'm getting blasted with notifications. So that should trigger some type of phone call to that other AD.
That is one thing. At Arbiter, we didn't, but it is still gone. We weren't notified, though, through Arbiter, right? If somebody canceled it, or were you notified?
Yeah, you were notified. You get an email, but the damage is already done. So the point is, that's nice. How do I keep that from happening? You say I have that option?
There is a checkbox that says allow school modification.
Is that on every contract or my whole overall?
So
that's going to be on every game, so you can trigger that. But that's something that I want to talk to our guys to see if we have turned that on for you guys or not. So we got to, again, conversation.
Default button.
It says team pending.
But again, because you guys have assigned so far out, we want to make sure you guys have the ability to edit your contests, especially right now when that transfer happened. Yep.
So if I heard you correctly, then it's desirable for us, like right now, I don't know if this was said earlier, I'm seeing duplicated varsity football games.
Okay.
And should we be cleaning up that, deleting one of those? I don't know if anybody else is seeing that.
If you're seeing a duplicate game, that means somebody went in there and started adding their games before the transfer.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
I think with the merge, they pulled the games in from the big group, but I had it listed in my assigning group in Arbiter as Highland High School football stadium.
Okay.
For the facility.
Yep.
The facility that somehow got entered by default was Fishburne Stadium.
Okay.
So it entered the same game twice because the
Got it.
facilities didn't.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Audit your schedule. If there's a duplicate in there, press the trash can on it, make sure it removes.
I've seen on some of them, like, it'll say 8th grade volleyball, 8th grade volleyball. One of them is assigned and one of them is listed as unassigned. So the unassigned one you have no use for because the officials have already been assigned to the other game.
my next question.
Yeah, I would.
If it says assign, please don't delete that.
Yeah, I would do a quick audit of your schedule, guys. I mean, we transferred everything over, and so if something looks funky, you do have the ability to edit that. Just make sure you do a quick audit, make sure that everything looks correct, and go ahead and clean it up if it doesn't need to be there.
It's not a quick task.
Yep.
So I have a question. When it transferred, I had high school and middle school, but when it transferred my games, everything's listed as high school.
Right. So
Is there a way to switch those to
we
middle
can,
school?
for sure.
I mean, they show up in both. If I go to either organization, they show up, but they all show up as high school.
Yep. So what we can do, there's two ways we can do that. We can either, like for one of the SADs over here, you want to change your stuff to city schools, and so everything's under the one organization. If you truly want to have the two separate schools or organizations, we just have to go to the home team or the away team and trigger that to the middle school. That'll scope it over to your middle school schedule, and then it'll truly keep it separate. Okay. And again, I'm going to be here as long as you guys need me to after this, so I can start helping you out with that and showing you that process, or you can just send that to me, and I can do it.
And that's something I have to do, or something you guys can do?
You can send it to me, and I'll do it.
Okay, because I did that the other night with some of them.
Yeah.
I sent the other ADs 84 emails, doing changes that they made.
Yeah. Again, we send a lot of communication, a lot of emails, so anything that gets changed or updated, everybody's getting notified of it. Okay, if I truly need to add a game, okay, there's something that game cancellation, I need to add another game. Like I said, most of your games are all transferred over. If I do need to add a game, this is how you do it. We'll go through that process really quick. Click on the Add Game button, create game. A lot of this is really self-explanatory. Again, do not scroll through this list. Just please type it here because you'll be here forever. Just type in football. It's going to pull up my football, regular season, date of the game, time, correct academic year. Now, you're going to see just the drop down of the schools you're affiliated with. Start typing in here. Okay, whatever I type in here is going to show up. Okay, you're going to see all Ohio schools first. Then you'll see other states also. So if I'm a border school and I'm scheduling an out-of-state team, they're also listed here. But again, you're going to see your Ohio stuff first in ABC order. Whatever you type in, it's going to show up here. Okay, I'm going to go to their team. It's going to be 8th grade football. My facility drop down, I've got the test ones that I created in my back end. I would utilize the heck out of these location notes. Whatever you put in this location note is also going to show up on that official's assignment. Okay, so if there's something that you need to relay to them, something that's specific to your facility, something that's specific to the site, put it in that location notes, and then that'll show up on the first line of their assignment. Okay, real quick, guys, I'm going to go over this game creation, go over tournament creation, and then we can get in the weeds with your guys' game schedules after that. So if I need to add a whole bunch of games, I'm going to press Save and Add More. It's going to save all these details. Then I can just add a bunch more games. Just change the home team, change the time, and then I can add as many games as I need to right here. It's going to save all that detail so I can get a matter of 10 games in, in a matter of a few minutes or so. Okay. If I just need to add the one particular game, I'm going to press Save Game. I'm going to get that all games saved, and it's going to throw up on my schedule. Okay. What you got?
Where does it ask the level when you add a game? I'm trying to add a soccer.
Yeah, for sure.
Scrimmage, but I don't see. Am I just missing something? It popped up late when I did my practice.
Yeah, you got to put your team in first. And so if I put Ohio Test School here, then I get what team is playing. When I get that what team is playing, that's where that level pops up. All right, so varsity, JV, freshman, 8th grade, 7th grade. Okay. Yep. Again, if you're adding a lot of games at one time, use that Save and Add More feature. Okay, guys, basic game creation. Very simple, self-explanatory. I can go over that more if you need me to, but I can move on from that too. In the data pool, okay, if you had a golf match or a wrestling match or a duel or that had multiple participants, we found that a lot of the times it pulled just the one team, right? And so you can go in there and edit and add as many schools as you need to. I'll go through that in the tournament creation and how to edit teams and edit games and add those things. So individual sports, golf, wrestling, track, When I create that event, it's per sport. It's not going to be a one-to-one matchup. It's not going to be my school versus your school. It'll be my school versus when I put, then I go ahead and put all those participants in. Okay, whatever participant I list in that list is going to get a notification saying that that game or that tournament was created on their schedule.
But on the one game detail, they gave an option for a quad, but not a try or something else.
Quad, double header,
Mhm.
but not a try.
Yeah. For which sport?
This is volleyball.
Okay.
And then you see here, there's the one team, here's the other one.
Mhm.
It's got a separate license there.
So it pulled it as three games. Yep. Okay. Well, we can pull those out and add them as a try if we need to. Okay. Now the time slots, is that true? Is it a how many games? Okay. So what you can do is you can go in there and say, hey, I'm going to add those individual slots individually, or I can put them in a tournament view as a quote-unquote tournament, name it, try, and then list those slots in the tournament view. Okay. Okay, add in a tournament. Okay, if I go here, I'm going to press Create Tournament. Now, there's a few ways to do this. If it's a
By tournament, you mean like a legitimate tournament, like a freshman basketball?
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Okay, not a wrestling meet. That's different?
Two ways to do it. You can put it in as a wrestling meet, and it's going to show up as my wrestling meet, and I can add as many participants on that meet as I want to. You could also do it as a tournament, either way. So when you do it as a tournament, it's going to auto-generate a bracket for you. Okay? Obviously, I don't need a bracket for wrestling. The benefit of that is I'm able to title that tournament so that my assigner can see that, hey, this is the name of that tournament. It's going to show up on their game schedule. Okay? Now, if you don't want to do that, and you just want it to say you're hosting a wrestling tournament, you go ahead and create the wrestling event, and then you have the option to put participants in thereafter.
So with a volleyball, so
You put, yeah, correct.
Let's say we're hosting a volleyball invite, and we've got 2 courts going.
Yep.
And I want to send it to Terry so he can assign officials to both of those.
Yep.
Would that go in as a tournament or as a game with just multiple participants?
It's up to you. So
he would need to assign multiple games throughout the course.
Correct. Yep.
Not just 4 officials to show up and do
100%. Is it like a single elim tournament, or is it going to be double elimination, round robin style tournament? Perfect. So we have the option. It's a quick button to go ahead and create one single elimination tournament. We know that that's not the case for a lot of the time, especially in my state. We had thousands of double elimination tournaments, so you can go ahead and do a custom tournament. Okay. The nice thing about that custom tournament, I'll show you that in a second because it seems like it's pretty important to this group. When you create that custom tournament, it's going to show up as a tournament line item on your schedule. I'm going to click in there, and then I can add games into that particular portal. So I'm assigning those time slots. So a lot of the times, if it is a double elimination, or I don't know the opponent, I'm going to put my matchups I know, and then you can also put TBDs. Correct. And that's going to be in that particular slot as the particular tournament that I put it in. Now, some people, wasn't my preference, but some people put those individual games in, and then have the assigner see those individual games.
4-1 and 4-2 or like 9 put the 2 games in and do 2 games.
Correct. Now, you're going to get a warning that says, hey, your facility's booked, unless you create those facilities, but you can obviously override that. Now, that conversation needs to be a conversation you want to have with your assigner, right? Really, how do you want to look at it? Do you want it to see in a line item in all my particular time slots for you to assign, or do you want to see it in that small tournament view that I can then expand and then see the same thing?
And then can they go on to that tournament view and assign based on each game?
100%. Exactly. Yep.
And I'll go in and pick one of the 9 a.m. games, one of the 10 a.m. games, one of the 11, and link them.
Correct. And then you could.
I have an official that's working all of the games are one.
Okay.
All the officials saying,
Gotcha.
Yep.
Like for our volleyball.
I don't think that is, correct me if I'm wrong, regardless of how they go in, if they have multiple events with time designated, I'm going to see them as their.
Correct. Again, that's a conversation you want to have with your assigner. The big thing that we always told people was, hey, make sure those time slots are there so that we can assign officials to those time slots.
So then conversely with the wrestling tournament, in the past, I've always assigned my officials for a wrestling tournament.
Yep.
Am I able to do that now, or do I have to set something up as an assigner to do that?
So when you create your wrestling tournament, again, you can do it as a wrestling game, which again, you have the option to go in there and put different teams. The way I did it is I created a custom tournament, had the wrestling, the invite of the name of the meet, and then I assigned my officials at the tournament level. And so that just says, hey, there's not a bracket. I'm not obviously not doing individual time slots for wrestling, but I want 4 or 5 officials to make sure that they're at that tournament. They got the notification to, hey, show up at my tournament at 7 a.m. and they're assigned as at the. All right?
Wheels on these chairs. Man down. I almost missed it earlier. But.
Good, Terry.
Yeah, I'm not
so do you?
I'm a football fan.
Don't worry, I got it. Question on officials.
Like, for example, track. When we assign them in there, can we assign their role?
Yeah, 100%. Guys, I'm promise I'm going to get all to that, all right? So right now we're getting the weeds on this game schedule. Let's figure out how to navigate the game schedule first, and then how do we make this work for you guys, okay? Sir?
Would you suggest a cross-country invitation when that's high school and middle school be a separate thing and then put it in as a new event? What would you suggest?
Is it the same site? The officials come into the same place? Yep. What does it hurt to put it as one?
Well, so when I go into ad game because they're not transfer over,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a large team event, you would go ad game and then what?
I'll go through that, okay? Okay, so are we good? Can we move on from just say, how does this work for my particular school? Because that is something we need to go over. But again, I think if you have the general navigation of how to create a tournament, how to create certain events, that answers a lot of your guys' questions, okay? Okay, so we're just going to go dive right into tournaments then, okay? So I'm going to go first over the 3 tiers of this. I'm going to go over single elimination tournament, which is a pretty few really quick clicks of a button, and then how to create a custom tournament, and then how to apply that also to my wrestling stuff, my golf stuff, or my cross-country stuff, okay? Now, these game creations are sport-specific, so if I do put a, say, cross-country, okay, this is where I can go ahead and put my participants in. Okay, so that's one particular, in our system, a game. It's not going to show up as a game on the game schedule. It'll show up as a cross-country event, and then I can add my participants. Okay, caveat to that, you would not be able to title this. You could put this in the location notes, which is also just fine because that's going to show up on the assignment, above their assignment, whatever you put in the location notes. So if this is Troy High School invite, that's going to show up there on their assignment. On the game schedule, it won't. On the assignment, it will. And then obviously, if I click on the game details, then I will see that. Okay? Yep.
If we already have like a cross-country meet in there, and when it transferred from Arbiter to Dragonfly, it only transferred one.
The opponent's school, right?
Would we be better off deleting that and then making it a tournament?
Is your particular cross-country event, you're talking cross-country? Yeah. Is it showing this view where it has participants? If it's not, then we definitely want to add it as a cross-country event so we can go and add the slots. So for instance, this one, right? If I'm putting the first cross-country team or the cross-country event in, I got a Ohio test school in. Everybody I type in here is going to show up. So I'm going to invite this school.
So I could do it that way.
You could, 100%.
I just can't name the thing, whatever I'm going to name the event.
Exactly, yep.
Because it's just a game.
Again, you could put that in the game details and everybody still sees that. It's just not going to show up on your master schedule as, hey, this is the so-and-so invite. Okay? Yep. So if you guys see this on your golf games, on your golf matches, your cross-country matches, and there's only one team that transferred over, this is how you're going to add those extra schools. Okay? You're going to click in this box, start typing those schools in, and you'll see those here. And I can schedule these here. Okay? Whatever I schedule here, they're going to get a notification that they're coming to this particular event. Okay? Tournaments. Game type tournament, sport, basketball, we'll go regular season. Start date, June 14th. Tournament start time, we're going to say this one's going to start at 7 a.m. This is the kind of trick with a tournament view, okay? I can add a 16-team tournament, an 8-team tournament. It's going to auto-generate a bracket where I can edit those games from there. To your guys' point, if it's a custom tournament, round-robin style tournament, things like that, you're going to want to do custom. Now, when I press 8, I'm going to show you the single elim side first. You don't need to put this in. This is there if you have a tournament on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you have a sequential Thursday through Saturday, you don't need to put anything here. Tournament's going to end on the 16th. This is the benefit to making these tournaments. You can put the name here. I'm going to host it. Put your facility. What I always put here, if I had multiple courts going, I'm going to go ahead and put, please check individual assignments for the court location. Again, you can put anything you want there. That's going to show up on their individual assignments. Level, well, varsity basketball. Make sure my academic year is correct. Save tournament. That's going to pull me in this event management where I have all those slots for that particular tournament. When I click on bracket, it's going to show this guy. Now I can edit game details from this also. This is pretty much the same thing as the game schedule. It's routing to the same place. So if I need to edit teams, assignments, anything like that as an assigner, I can do that here. It's going to pull out that same game detail box. Okay? If I don't want to use that tournament view, go back to my games, and then I've got all these teams listed out right here. And then as an assigner, I can go in and assign these individual slots here. Okay? That's for a single elim tournament. Really quick to make those. If I know my matchups already, I'm going to put the first round in, leave the other matches as TBD, and then we're good to go from there. Okay? Again, the important piece is, and assigners, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just really at the end of the day need those time slots there, especially on those TBD games. The matchups is great and all, especially first round, but on those tournament slots, those TBDs, we need officials on those time slots, so assigners can go in there and assign those TBD slots if needed. Now, you as the AD can go and update those matchups as they happen. You don't have to. Again, the important thing is officials are showing up. Okay, any questions on the basic single elim tournament? Custom tournaments, okay? We'll do a girls volleyball tournament. Make sure you select that custom button. That's not going to auto-generate a bracket. So when you hit that custom, you're not going to use that bracket feature because you're telling the system, you're saying, hey, I've got a lot of things going on. I just need to put those time slots there. So we'll say this one's a River Valley round robin. Sorry if I get it wrong. Host, I'm going to put us as a test school so it doesn't blast everybody. Facility, test school, location, notes. Again, best practice that I would suggest. It's up to you. Okay, make sure all this is correct. Then I get into my event management. It says no games found. Okay, this turns into a truly custom thing that I can slowly and start create my tournament games from here. Okay. So I'm going to put create tournament game. This particular one will say this one's at 9 a.m. I don't know the away team yet. This one's on court 1. I don't want to put anything under the round and game number because that's going to tell me that's going to try to throw you into that bracket again. Now you have an option here that says show on main schedule. If I click on this show on main schedule, it's going to pull it out of that little tournament portal and throw it onto my game schedule, on my main schedule. I would suggest, again, some assigners like that, some didn't. I liked it always being in that little portal so I can click and expand it if I needed to. Yep.
Let's say you know who this first opponent is.
Yeah, for sure.
Drop down menu and it gives you everybody in America, or can you? I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's your opponent list, so you're not like
100%.
searching forever.
Right. So what you can do, right? It's a good point. I'll create this first particular game. What you can do is say, hey, these are the teams that are going to be in my tournament, and then the drop down just shows those particular tournament teams. Okay. Does that make sense?
Sure. But we're all, league opponents, the ones that are consistently. Can we create an opponent menu?
For a tournament, you can. Not for a regular season game. No. But again, just type them in. That shrinks that list down. Okay. Yeah. How many in Ohio? There's quite a few. Yeah. Hey, I will say this. DragonFly did an update last year that saved my butt. Was it showed that all the Highlands in Ohio first, and then all the Highlands in the country. It used to have every Highland in the country. You had to scroll through and make sure it's the correct one. So, making progress. Yeah, I mean it'll have the city under the name also. Okay. Okay, so there's my tournament portals that I just created, right? I've got my varsity men's basketball tournament. It's going to show up like this on my game schedule, okay? When I click on this particular link, it's going to expand it. Then I'm going to see all those particular games that we just made. In my custom view, okay, again, no games found. I want to make sure to edit my game details first, to your point. Tournament start time, we'll say 7 a.m. And then I'm going to add all my participants to this particular tournament. Okay? I'm not going to do this because it's going to add notifications to everybody involved right now. But to your point, when I'm creating that tournament and I'm adding those individual games, I'm just going to do a bank of those tournament teams. So I don't have to sit there and scroll through every single team. Okay? Okay, then I've got the ability to go ahead and make these tournament slots that I want to. Okay, so this one says 9 a.m. I'm just going to go through this briefly. 10 a.m. And again, this is where I want to put my court details. All right, this one's at court 1, this one's at court 2. If you double book, it's going to say, hey, there's the same team, same time at this particular location. Override it in the location notes. Just make sure that that's on court 2. Okay. Okay, so anything I put in here is going to be in that tournament portal. Now what I can do after this, if I truly don't know those matchups just yet, and my bracket says game 1, game 2, game 3, I can select these particular teams. I can name this game game 1. And then that throws it up here. Okay, sir?
So, like, you created this, say you invited our schools here, would this then pop up on ours so we can see the River Valley Round schedule on our main page?
It's going to show up just like this on your schedule. Okay?
So they'll be able to see all of the matches, even the ones they are not.
Correct. Yep. In the tournament, in that particular tournament portal. Okay? Yep. Yeah.
Is there a way you can print out the PDF of, All our events for 23-24.
Yeah, you can download a CSV, like an Excel document. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay, guys, I'm going to move on from tournaments. Are we good on tournaments? Okay, you got your single elimination tournament, you got your custom tournaments. Again, a lot of that stuff's nuanced. It's going to be your processes, how your school wants to see things, how your assigner wants to see things. If I want to download my full schedule, I'm going to click this reports button, and then I'm going to download the CSV of all my games. Now again, it's going to download whatever you filter. If I have my football games filtered out, I'm going to download the CSV of just my filter, or my football filter. If I've got all my games, it's going to download game details from all my games. Okay, any functionality on this game schedule that you guys want to talk about really quick before we move on from that? Sir? Yeah, for sure. So again, we're softening those permissions right now. The system originally worked, whereas when officials were assigned, that game was locked, right? And so you guys have everything assigned so far out. We're in the process right now of softening those permissions so you can go in and edit all those facilities. So to edit that, what you're going to do is you're going to click on that particular game, go to the facility that's already created, click on the drop down, and all you're doing is you're going to change the facility. Okay?
Will there be some of these that's not working on yet? Yeah.
Yep.
Some of them it's still not.
Correct.
So we just need to wait.
Correct. Yep. Okay, anything else on game schedule? Okay, guys, we're gonna truck on through. Like I said, I'll be here after for individual questions, things like that. We do have a front-facing website. The URL for that is going to be go.dragonflyathletics.com. Type in Ohio, and then you go ahead and type your school in there. Okay. Nice thing is with this, it's anything you update in your game schedule is going to go ahead and update on this front-facing site. Now, what a lot of people use this as is they take this URL and they embed that, or their specific team URL, embed that into their district website or their school website. So parents can click on it. Anything I update in DragonFly gets updated there also, so it's accurate. They're per sport URLs, so if I filter out to just my football schedule, I can go ahead and take that URL and embed it on my website as here's your football schedule. Okay, parents click on it, it'll route them directly to the football schedule. Okay. Okay, real quick, I'll give you an example of somehow how that can look on your website. Again, it's there if you need it. So this particular district, they put all their game schedules on here. They embedded the go.dragonfly in there. If I click on this particular school, I've got the logo here. I've got all those particular games. So if I update it on DragonFly, this district did want that to happen, then those game details all show up on the schedule. Now, like I said, this is an individual URL. So if I go to my football schedule, something you may not need to know, but this changes to FB, to football. And so if I'm truly embedding that football link into my website, parents can click on that football link, and it's going to take me just to the football where they don't have to go ahead and filter through all this. Okay? Now, anything you set up, your links in your Setup Schools tab, if you do set up your ticket link, when they click there, that'll route them to their tickets. Now, if you have NFHS Network linked up, things like that, you'll click on that. That'll route them to whatever video service you have linked to that also. Again, you set all that up on the Setup Teams tab. Okay, real quick, guys. Any questions on that, on really just the high-level overview of DragonFly? I'm going to be here for a long time after. I'm sure you guys have 5 million questions, how to make this work for your particular school, how to make this work for you guys. I will say this. You've got a lot of different options for support. Okay, right now we're all doing trainings right now, so we've got a team of people that monitor this. Once these trainings die down, you'll get a really quick response. We average about a 6 to 8 minute response on this. Now, if it's longer, just understand we'll definitely get to it. So it's not a bad idea. If you've got any question at all, make sure it gets in this. Go ahead and put it in this chat bot because that goes on a queue, and we can knock that out pretty quickly, and we'll get to it for sure. Okay. Again, we average about 6 minutes per conversation. So if you have questions on anything in the software, you're going to go ahead and go send message, type a chat, and then that gets blasted to our support team, and we're answering all the time. Okay. Our hours for that, where you're going to get really quick responses, is 8 to 5, okay? And that'll be Central Time. We operate out this chat, and I'll tell you the reason why. The reason we operate this chat is we can help 5 or 6 people at one time, right? So if there's somebody that's helping one person, we're waiting for a response on another, we can hop in another conversation and start helping that person out too. Obviously too, it's a web-based platform, so we can share screenshots. We can ask you to share screenshots back. If you don't get your stuff, if you don't get the question you want answered in this chat, that's where it comes back into place. Sign up for those webinars. Hop in with a one-on with one of our team members, or even myself. The other people that are doing these trainings are going to hop on those webinars also. Okay. Just to kind of wrap this up, folks, this is the team that you're going to see quite a bit. You got Kirk Miller. He's our CEO. He's going to be at a few of these trainings also. You got Brandon Wallace, who on the initial meetings, I'm sure you guys saw him quite a bit. He looks a lot different now. He's got long hair. And then all of us will be doing kind of the road show, helping you guys feel comfortable, navigate the software, make sure that we deliver a product that works for you all. Okay. I hope we stress this enough. There's a lot of training opportunities. Okay. There's these ones also, which is really just a high-level overview. Like, we're just giving you everything right now, fire hosing you with information. New School Web Meetings Daily. I showed you how to get there on your Resources tab. AMAs, those are daily also. If you just want to hop on for a quick 2 minutes and ask a question, there's people waiting there for you there too. Again, those are those web meetings that you have access to in the Resource tab. And then DragonFly Academy, this is where you're going to live at for a lot of the time. Okay? Please, as you start rolling this out and getting more familiar with the software, utilize this. If you need to send this to your finance department, send them the finance modules. Okay? These are our partners right now that we're currently in. So, guys, we're pumped up to add you guys in there. At the end of the day, we want to make this software work for you guys. And so please tell us suggestions. We're very open to suggestions. Let us know how we can make this work for you. We're very open to update our software based on your guys' needs. Okay? Now, before we kind of leave, I'm going to be here for as long as you need me to. So if you guys have questions, you need help navigating your stuff, I'll be here. But thank you guys, I appreciate it.